I was there in one of the castles to capture this story, the Cape Coast Castle. Originally built by Sweden in the 1650s, then shifted to the Danish, then the Dutch, and then became an English possession by the 1660s. In the castle's early decades, trade revolved around gold, wood, and textiles before English merchants began to seek captive Africans in large numbers. As I walked in, we could hear the singing of local traditional priests who in the dungeon had their shrine in honor of their religious beliefs. My tour guide told me how much slaves were held in the castles, where the slaves came from, and how they were held captive before being shipped off into Europe and the Americas.
This is actually the youngest as well as the smallest of the 3 castles built along the coast of West Africa. But then we say that this is the biggest slave castle. It's the biggest slave castle because it was built at the time when the transatlantic slave trade was at the highest level. So the dungeons here were actually built much bigger to hold about 1,500 people at the same time. Well, the people that were brought here were not all from Ghana. They brought them in from several parts of Africa. But the biggest number came from West Africa. And they had to walk from wherever they were captured, either tied up or in shackles and chains. They find themselves here in Cape Coast Castle in particular. Before they send them into the dungeons, each group of Africans that were here were owned separately by lots of British companies. So the companies will then put metals with their initials on them into fire. A tent where they pull it out. Before the metal goes to any part of the human body, they smear that part up with oil before they brand them. After branding them, they will send them into the dungeons where they stayed at least 2 weeks or 3 months, waiting for the arrival of the slave ships. Now we are in the male dungeon, starting from here all the way down to the 5th room. The whole place took about 1,000 black men. 1,000 black men, mathematically we will say that each of these rooms held about 200 people.
We walked through the door of no return. At this point, it was a heavy moment for me.